Side. We'll jump into this fun thing. I want to thank you for joining Charge Up in our Zoom webinar series of Building a Champion's Mindset. Today, I'm humbled to have three friends on here, all a part of what is now the 2021 Olympics, representing Team Mexico in softball. I will start with Dallas Escobedo, who is now proudly Dallas Magee, married to my boy Chris.
Yes.
2014 graduate from Arizona State University. She finished her career with just about 1,200 strikeouts. That's all, the second most in ASU history. Only the 14th player in Pac-12 history, by the way, to accomplish 1,000 strikeouts. And I'm just going to name a few things for you, but four-time Pac-12 All-Conference, three-time All-American, USA Softball Top 10 finalist for Player of the Year, first-team All-American Senior Class Award. And then a teammate of hers, Sashel Palacios. She is a 2017 graduate of Arizona State University. To name a few of her honors, Pac-12 All-Defensive Honors, named to the NFCA All-West Region Team, named to the Academic All-District Team, and All Pac-12 Academic Honorable Mention. See, that's why they call it a student athlete. Brains, brawn, beauty, all within one shot. Next up, you know what, Tori? This is just for you.
Okay.
From one Aggie to the other. I'd like to welcome Tori Vidales, 2018 graduate of Texas A&M University. Finished her career as the school record holder in runs, RBIs, and total bases. Ranked second in home runs with 65, third in walks with 164, sixth in batting average. A few of her honors: SEC All-Freshman Team, All-SEC Second Team, two-time All-SEC Defensive Team, two-time All-SEC First Team, two-time All-American, the pride of Aggie Land, Tori Vidales.
Class of 18, baby.
Like that, from one Aggie to another. I've been waiting for that all week, Tori. You guys don't feel bad. I'd never heard Arizona State's song, so I just went with what was familiar. That's okay. We're fine. So how are y'all doing today? It was Tuesday, just so you know. It's not this day, the other day, but it's Tuesday.
I know. It's been hard to keep up with the days of the week, honestly, but good. Just got done hitting, actually, not too long ago. Washed cars with my mom. That was more of an arm workout than anything I've done in quarantine.
Everybody's doing those little odd jobs they never did before. They're like, oh, okay, I'll do it.
Like cleaning or organizing, I know. I feel
I would never do that.
Yeah. Or, if you're Dallas, it's a perfect time to move.
I know. I don't know how, this is a lucky situation for me. Having time is not ever a thing that I have, so.
Would you have been in Japan right now?
Yeah, I would be in Japan. I would have been coming home in about a week on the 28th.
And y'all would have moved then?
Yeah, Chris was going to come home early, about the 12th or 13th, and then we were okayed for the house on the 10th. So.
That's perfect. So everything has worked out.
Yeah.
So what we'll do is I've got a few questions for our guests, and then we'll open it up for Q&A. And just like always, there is no thing as a stupid question. Like if it's something you want to know, ask the question, especially when you have the opportunity to learn from three people who, like I said, each have their own journey. But more importantly, they're literally three different perspectives that can assist you. And right now, a competitive advantage really does come from learning and listening and finding just those little things. It's the 1% here and there. And you have a great opportunity today to do that. So let me ask you guys this first question. And it's a question that I've asked on the past 5 or 6 webinars that we've done because it's so relevant. As an elite athlete, each of you have prepared painstakingly for an Olympics that unfortunately, due to the circumstances, are going to be delayed for a year. How do you reset your mindset and your focus that you literally have committed the past 4 years to And now recreate a plan in your head, understanding that physically you can master that portion. You can stay on that routine. You're disciplined enough. But how do you prepare yourself from a mindset perspective in ensuring that you're healthy in your head, and then you have the right perspective and focus moving forward as the months go by, looking forward to next summer?
I'll go. I'll keep it super short, but first off, I think it's important to just give a shout out to everybody that's in the front lines that are kind of handling this head on. We're fortunate, and my family is fortunate enough that we could stay home and kind of spend time together. Like Dal said, we don't really have a lot of time where we're all together in the same spot. And so I think that could be a benefit of this situation, just mentally, is kind of like clearing your head, giving importance to the mental game, and just kind of understanding and rewriting and revisiting those goals. I think that it's hard, and you have to be creative with the physical aspect, hitting, working out. But I definitely think that this time it's a good time to kind of revisit those goals and just kind of plan for a new roadmap for, when you get to compete, depending on our MPF or our international schedule. So just kind of writing that stuff down and understanding that everybody's kind of in the same boat with that.
And two, I think that with softball, we're in such a lucky position because we don't have to meet like a certain criteria to compete. Like swimming, you have to hit a certain time to be like considered elite, or weightlifting, you have to be in a specific range of body weight. So I feel like in that sense, we're a little bit more lucky, whereas softball, you can keep playing and get better as time goes on. And I don't feel like you're limited to a single box. So for us, the postponement, yeah, it's unfortunate, but I think it kind of gives you more time to reevaluate, okay, how much work am I willing to put in? What are my goals? How am I going to accomplish those goals? And really, you can take that and apply it to anywhere in your life. Like, there's been so many things that I've wanted to do during this time that I've been able to do now that I do have more time. And now that I like it so much, I'm going to create time in my routine for that. Like, yoga has been a big one for me. And now I realize like how much I need that in my real life. So just being able to look at the bigger picture, and like Sash said, everybody's going through it right now. So really nobody feels sorry for you. Like, it's like, what are you going to do with this time? Mm-hmm. Right? How do you turn it into a positive instead of dwelling on it and constantly thinking of it as a negative thing?
Absolutely.
Yeah. And I would say, just like how Tori ended, for me, it's total self-evaluation. And I was training in Japan, and it's pitching and just working hard each day out there, because that's all I have to worry about. And then coming out here with moving into a new house, being able to find a training plan. Thankfully, we have a home gym basically set up in our garage. And so I'm able to dedicate finally, I think, just time to myself. And when I'm running on the treadmill or now lifting, it's just like, I'm like literally like, this is your time. Like, nobody can take it away from you. You're getting better for yourself, but it's also you're getting better for the greater, which is my team. And to me, it's like, that's exciting. But I've kind of, like both of them say, just a lot more self-care, like just more on the mental side for me, just like really evaluating, spending time with my family. Like my dad, we quarantined with him when we got back, and I have seen my mom a few times, which is unfortunate, but it's like as much as I can right now. But I think it's just really self-evaluating and hanging out with my husband and making sure that we're bettering ourselves any way that we can during this time.
I mean, the crazy thing is, for all of you, you can never remember an April where you're not playing softball.
I actually had a birthday party. Like,
it's unprecedented. Exactly.
My birthday was on Easter, and I had like my dad here, and it was like I actually had a moment to celebrate instead of playing on my birthday usually.
It's just something you've never done. That's the thing. And I like what you talked about, Tori, is discovering new things to do, and you actually found something you like that you can incorporate. And Sash, to your point about knowing where you're at, are you communicating with your friends that are also in the same position and kind of leaning on each other?
Yeah, I mean, we have calls with Team Mexico. That's something that we never did before because we were all in our own seasons, tackling individual goals. But we have those talks, and I really do think that in this part, and my sister, I talked to her about this too. It's like this time you need to allow yourself some grace and some time, and also like all the emotions that everybody's going through. I know that some days I want to go outside and get my sweat on, and some days I want to sit on the couch and Netflix till I have to go to sleep again. You know what I mean? But like, I think that those feelings, those emotions are all valid and they're all okay. And it's okay to have different emotions every single day. And so I think that it has allowed us to connect with one another. Unfortunately, we're not together playing, which I miss, It would have been awesome.
So as athletes and as people, I mean, has this been the most challenging time in your lives as it pertains to just finding balance? I think it's something everybody's struggling with right now at this time because of social distancing, isolation in your homes, not being able to do things. For an athlete, you've got discipline. You obviously have a routine. There are things you do, and there are the reasons you do them, and it just becomes habit.
Mm-hmm.
Have you found this time where it's breaking those habits and it becomes really frustrating? I mean, is this really one of the most challenging obstacles you faced?
I would say right now, oh, go ahead.
You got it.
No, I was just saying, like, for me right now, it's finding the new way to continue the habits or create them again. Like when we were all just training. We played in Mexico. We played in Australia at the end of January to February. We played in Mexico in the middle of February. Like we were on our roll, like training and being able to participate as a team. And then I went back to Japan where I was training every day with my team and just finding ways to get better in my craft. And then coming home and it's like, okay, you're not allowed to really do anything. And it's like, if I go in my backyard or thankfully there's a plot of grass right out in front, but it's like me and a net or me and my husband pitching. But it's just not the same. And I think finding that way to make do, just I see Tori's in her garage hitting into a net every day. Sashel has a cage in her backyard. Like thankfully we have a lot of great things for us, but for those of the people that aren't as lucky and don't have things, it's like, what can we do, or what can they do to find that habit? And I think it's just being creative as much as you can. You see like all over social media, people are like lifting their dogs to do squats or having like the 5-gallon jugs to just have weight and find some way, which I think is awesome. And so just being able to find something that works for the time being until you can get back to your normal.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think for me, this has actually been a little bit easier, which is crazy because life was so hectic before. And starting beginning of April, I was going to be working at SEC Network. So I was going to be doing Thursday, Friday shows and then flying back to College Station, doing Saturday, Sunday games, doing color commentary for them. So this has actually given me more of a kind of sculpted routine and like allowed me, okay, I'm going to go to bed at this time. I'm going to wake up, I'm going to eat breakfast, drink coffee, and go get 100 swings in and then do a workout and then cool off a little bit and still have time to do extra things that I still want to do. So for me, it's been really nice. I'm a homebody at heart. So it's been really, really nice to have my parents and I just moved back in with my parents because I moved away from College Station. So to have them, and they are 100% down to help me do anything that I need to do. So if it means my dad's side tossing to me at the park because there's no L screen, we did that the other day. I almost hit him. He doesn't impress me anymore, but
good old days.
Like my mom will go shag balls. And we bring the dog, and it's just kind of like a family affair. So I think I'm really lucky in the position that I'm in. It could be a lot worse. But yeah, like Dallas said, I'm in my garage all the time with my net and my tee, but I've learned to love that now because I'm more aware of my swing and all these different things that I can work on from day to day just on my own rather than live pitching and striking out every time, right? You can always make sure you're hitting the ball off a tee.
Yeah.
So it's been not terrible for me at all. I like it.
You've taken advantage. Yeah, you've taken advantage of the circumstances.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think it just goes back to like simplicity. I think that has like been the biggest thing. It's like, I didn't have, we'd organized one of the rooms and I found little weights, but before that I was using like jugs of apple juice, like that where's in our pantry. And like, it's funny and it's a joke, but it's like in that little moment when I was sweating and using my apple juice, I'm like, dude, I'm getting better. And that's like, I think that's progress. I think it's simplicity. I think it makes you realize like how awesome we actually have it when we're in college, or the situations, the setups that we had. So I just really think like it goes back to just simplicity and kind of like being in your inner thoughts a lot more than normal. I mean, I don't spend a lot of time journaling or, reading, the Bible, but like Tori said, in the morning I get up, I drink coffee, I do that, and then I'm ready for my workout. And that's something that I never did before. And so that's something that I've really enjoyed doing, and it's been nice.
And you read 3 big books lately.
I did. I'm on
Yes.
book 5 of Quarantine, so I'm doing pretty good.
Wow.
Notice how I said big and went like this.
Well, when she showed them last week, they were pretty big books. I was very impressed.
Yeah, I was impressed too. When I finished, I was like cover to cover. I was like, wow, this is what it feels like to finish a book.
And don't you love when it's like really good? You like read all the credits and all the acknowledgments and everything.
The second story, like everything. I know.
Me and Sasha are going to do a book exchange.
That's perfect. And Sam, who can give you all the discounts, Sam Fisher, because he is a Barnes & Noble's employee.
Yeah,
so
sure.
Everything's okay there.
I forgot about that.
And I'm a little disappointed. She actually said she was going to be on here, and I don't see her. It's okay. Her loss. We'll have to give her the recording. So, one of the things y'all talked about was, in essence, self-awareness, understanding what your commitments are and your obligations. At what point in your career did you really come to terms with the importance of prioritizing and learning to create balance in your life to ensure that you were not just an athlete? Because it's imperative, I think, that athletes understand they're not defined by their sport. Their value does not come as a result of their performance. Mm-hmm. It's being self-aware enough to understand there's so many other things, your character and your integrity, the responsibility you have, those important things you bring to the table. At what point in your careers did it finally come to you that it was time to find balance in your life, maybe make your circle smaller, that inner circle of friends, and prioritize the things you wanted to achieve while also holding on to your identity? Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. I think for me, sophomore year, so along with being a full-time student athlete and a full-time student, I also worked with 12th Man Productions, which is A&M's sports broadcasting area type thing. So they did all the games for every single sporting event for SEC Plus. So for me, I knew that after college, I wanted to, even if I wasn't playing anymore, I still wanted to be a color commentator or an analyst of some sort. And so I took it upon myself to take this job and really take on an extra layer of responsibilities. And I think it was then when I took that, how much I was willing to put in, because I could have easily worked there and not gone in, not like learned anything within that field. But I knew that one day softball would end, at least collegiately. I didn't know that there would be this many opportunities for me post-college, but I knew that would end eventually. And I wanted to make sure that at the end of the day, like I was taken care of and I wasn't going to waste the opportunity that I had just because I was playing softball. This opportunity was so great and actually led me to everything that I'm doing now off the field. So I think my sophomore year was definitely a turning point for me in realizing, okay, how am I going to balance these things? And if I truly want to be an All-American, to be successful with 12th Man Productions, to be a great friend, a great teammate, I had to prioritize, and actually wrote it down and hung it on my mirror that I looked at every day. And I wrote like, okay, I want to be under a certain amount of body fat, because in college they measure that a lot of times. And so I said, okay, I want to write a main goal, and then I want to write 2 little bullet points about how I was going to achieve that. So I always tried to get like 1 vegetable in at every meal, make sure I was eating 3 meals. That's hard to do in college, but Just little things like that was going to help me get to my goal instead of just writing out the big picture and then trying to go get it with having no stepping stones.
I like how you put it up on the merit, just reinforcement, and it's just a reminder to you as you go through this each and every day. I think that's a great suggestion.
My teeth, I'm like, yeah, all-American analyst, like trying to do all these things. I'm like, oh yeah, I should probably go do that today.
One, instance where I like had to realize that softball wasn't the end all be all was my freshman year in college. I played with the really competitive travel ball team, the Orange County Batbusters with Mike Stith, and he was hardcore, and he has created a lot of really talented and helped mold a lot of really strong women. So I'm really grateful for him. But I went into college with this expectation and to play and to learn a lot, and some events happened where a coach that recruited me left the year I was coming in. So that was an adjustment, and just adjusting to being a student athlete, and taking on the role of, college classes and trying to excel on the field. And I didn't get a lot of opportunities to play. I mean, I didn't see the field at all. And that was really hard for me because I wanted more, and I came from a very competitive family, organization. I was really good in high school. And so I just, that was really hard and a wake-up call for me, and not how I expected my freshman year to go. And I remember kind of getting mad at my parents too, because they would come and see our games and I wouldn't even see the field. And so I told them, like, stop wasting your time on traveling to different state to come see me play, sit the bench. Like, I don't want you guys wasting your money or your energy or your time. And something that stuck with me till this day is my mom looked at me and grabbed me because she felt those emotions that I was feeling and how hurt I was. And she said that it's okay, that she was there to see me, not to see me play, and was not there for the results or however many innings I was playing. And that was something that like the unwavering support has been something that I've had to constantly go back to when I'm doubting myself, or when I don't want to go work out. I'm like, okay, well, I have the people in my corner, I have the teammates, I have the family, the support. And it was a big wake-up call. I mean, I was completely turned off from playing. I was about to quit cold turkey, never play softball again. And my dad was like, hey, take some time off. Mexico has a tryout. You want to go try out? And honestly, Mexico, the national team, saved my life, I think, because I was heading towards a path of not wanting to play. And so basically that rant is just to say it doesn't matter if you play, if you're starter, if you're non-starter. I think it goes back to just the bigger things like family and the friendships that you make, because those will last a lot longer than your stats in college or, the playing days. You know what I mean? So that's my little snippet on that.
I like that, just because it's always refreshing to have those that are closest to you remind you and give you the perspective that you need. And in that case, it changed you.
Yeah.
It's a great story.
For me, I feel like I have a lot of people that are close to me that keep me grounded. I'm a very laid back person in general. And I think it's just funny, my husband, it's just tough love from him, my dad, my best friends. It's almost like joking. If I had come home, even in college from ASU or, anytime I'd pitch and come home after being in the pro league, my friends would be like, oh, how'd you do? Did you get to the championship? And I'm like, yeah, we lost though. And they'll be like, what, did you give up a home run? And I'm like, yes, I did. So it's the tough love is there, but it's we can laugh at it because it is just a game, but it's to me, that is what takes me out. And it's you're right. Okay, yeah, I gave up a home run, but next time I'm going to strike her out, or I'm going to I'm going to be better. Or it's just but it's just the funny, the jokingness of it. It still has to be light in order for you to have fun and in order for you to enjoy still. And if it was any different, I don't think that I would still love the game and fall more in love with it as I go, because I do it as a job, and it is a business basically, and you're giving your whole life for something. And with the Olympics, it's like even more, you are completely dedicated. And finally you're at this point, like when we qualified, I felt like this whole like other self of me just like get out of my body, because I actually was like, wow, I qualified. This is what I've been waiting for. Okay, now I can move it on to actually getting ready to go to the Olympics. But being able to like just keep it on the light side, like listening to Chris or listening to my best friends, they'll just be like, okay, well, what's next? Like, when are you going to live like a real life? Because you're in a fairy tale right now. Like, it's just like a lot, people outside of our life in softball world don't really get it. And I think that that's what keeps me in the game and what makes me love it. And I'm just like, okay, I'll have kids in a few years, but I'm going to the Olympics. Like, who can say that? Or like, I don't know. So that's, I think, what helps me kind of keep it on the light side.
And you know what's funny is I remember Dallas 3 years ago, probably the end of July or the first week in August, picking you and Coral up at the airport after, was it the Pan American Games that y'all just won?
Yeah.
And it was like, that was really the beginning of Team Mexico is not playing around.
Yeah,
this is a big deal.
Yeah.
And it was incredible because you got the world's attention.
Mm-hmm.
There was no playing around. And I loved it because when you got to San Antonio, just the joy on your face, it was almost as if, okay, now it's time to go. Like we proved to ourselves and we have showed everybody else that this thing's for real.
Mm-hmm.
And it is amazing because to see the progression and to see the roster and to see the way y'all have performed, like this is it. You did it.
Mm-hmm.
And I commend each of you because each of you have said it in your own unique way. Like, we're going to the Olympics. Mm-hmm. There is no greater platform to you to celebrate the hours and hours and hours of investment that you've put into a passion, something you love so much that you have sacrificed everything for. And I think that's an amazing, amazing thing. So let me ask you, based off of that, how important is patience and trusting the process and this whole journey that you've taken? I think that's something people also struggle with as well, is we're so outcome oriented because everything is at our fingertips. You can swipe right. It's just instant gratification everywhere. And I think people sometimes want to buy skills on Amazon and have it delivered in 24 hours. It just doesn't happen.
Like they don't have pitching skills on Prime, so that's
exactly. I want a curveball. Look,
I know.
Here's Amazon's choice. I'm going to go with that.
Really? It's like I've been searching. So,
how did you work? How did you work on that skill? Because I think patience is a skill set. How did you all work on that?
Like, I know all athletes are probably like right here, right now in their mind. And as a pitcher in my mind, and I'll speak for some pitchers in our minds, we want it like, oh, here's a grip and here's this is how you throw it. And then I'm like, well, why didn't I do it the first time? Like, why did I throw 10 good ones in a row? Like, it's like, I do this every day. This is all I do. This is who I am, and why can't I do it right now? So I definitely think that the process is key, and I really try to do a good job about being present when I am working on new skills and doing things that I haven't done. I write in my glove, like, trust the process or relax, take a deep breath, just to remind myself, like, you are present, you're a real human being. And if I throw like a terrible rise ball or a terrible drop ball, whatever, I'll yell probably. And I'm just like, and then I like laugh because my catcher's probably laughing at me. I'll turn around and I'll do my wave that everybody probably knows. But no, it's just to have that release. But it's like, yeah, we're humans, but it's like, I want to find another way to throw this pitch or that pitch. So it's on Prime. I'm going to find it.
Let me ask, Sash, how was she as a pitcher? Was she calm? Like, in other words, from other pitchers that you've worked with, when you worked with Dallas, because you were a freshman when she was a senior?
Yes.
How was she, and what did she contribute to you as a catcher that made you successful through your career at Arizona State?
So when I came on, well, I remember my visit, and I remember Dal was in the parking lot, and she like invited me to come hang out with her and the rest of the team, and I was like starstruck. I was like, my mom was with me, and my mom was like, "I'm coming too." I was like, "You're not coming." And if you know my mother, like, we're the same person. But I definitely think that I was starstruck like the majority of my freshman year. But something that I did notice from her is how like she's a whole different person when she's on the mound than when she's in person. And I think that the whole team can kind of attest to that. She is a grinder and she's a worker on that mound. And she expects greatness every single time she steps on there. And I think that that's a big reason why our team, the national team, has been so successful. Just kind of, you want to play behind somebody. You want to work with a battery mate that's like that knows that they're the best and that knows that they could be better, and kind of puts the team on their shoulders, you know? And so that's something that, you know, that quiet confidence is something that I've learned from her. And I try to take on to my position as well, as, you know, knowing how good and how talented and how much work you've put in for that moment, and just kind of like what she said, being where your feet are. And I think that is really, it's tough. You know, my first season with the national team, we didn't win a lot of games, like, and I was playing against people that I played against in college, and it was a humbling, it was a gut check. And I think that, you know, slowly but surely people are starting to realize, you know, the team and the goals, but also where we could go. And I think it's really cool to be a part of. And we get backlash from everybody about being Mexican Americans and living in the States and having, you know, these opportunities as Americans. But I think that the grind and what we've gone through and the situations and everything makes us a better competitor and better teammates. And I think that, you know, nobody really knows what we've been through other than us and this family. And I think that it's been so awesome to be a part of. It's so humbling. It's so passionate. I mean, these girls are amazing. And so all of us bring a different look, but I really do think it's like a quiet confidence. Like, nobody really knows how good we are but us. And I think that that's something that has been really big in our success.
What do you think, Tori?
Can you repeat the question? There were so many thoughts that I just had about listening.
I'm so sorry. I probably derailed. Did I answer your question?
Did. You absolutely did. It's all part of the process. And you were talking about your process as a freshman and working your way throughout the career. But really, Tori, is how important is patience and in really trusting the process and not just focusing on the outcome constantly?
Yeah, I think back to what Dallas was saying, like if they teach you a grip, like you want to do it the first time. Well, for hitting, it's more like, okay, with this drill, I'm trying to hit maybe an inside drop ball. Okay, with that drill, this girl just showed me I'm going to do the same thing and I should be able to crush it, right? So it doesn't happen like that. And I think hitting is such an intricate thing because there's so many different ways to practice, right? With pitching, you can pitch. You're always pitching the same, right? The surroundings are different. You could either be pitching to a live batter or doing a bullpen or doing all these things, but you're still pitching, which with hitting, you're still swinging, but you're swinging at different, like sometimes the ball is still and sometimes the ball is moving at you. So I feel like it adds like this extra layer of like complications. And a lot of times, I remember last summer, I hadn't seen live in a year because I had just gotten out of college, and then we went an entire, well, I guess, yeah, pretty much a year, right under a year. I would like 8 or 9 months, but I got to the field and I remember just thinking, oh yeah, I'm going to crush this. Like 8 months I hadn't seen live, and I thought I was just going to step in there, and I was like, wow, I suck. Like I'm the worst softball player ever. Like I can't believe they chose me to be on this team, like all these things. And then I talked to Coach Glasgow, who was my hitting coach at A&M, was coaching with the Pride, and he was like, you know, like, how you been getting into the swing things? And I was like, a little slow. And he was like, well, don't worry. It takes 40 at-bats to really get your eyes back. And I was like, 40 at-bats? What do you mean? And he was like, yeah, you're only like at, I think about 28. He was like, just give it a couple more. And it was like a light switch. And I was like finally understanding like, hey, like all these at bats, maybe I'm not getting hits, maybe I'm not hitting home runs or hitting doubles, but each at bat I'm able to learn, and my body is able to kind of re-enter that phase, that muscle memory that it always has known. And so for me, I think just remembering that I'm not going to be perfect every time, and really this game is made for the pitcher to win most times, more often than not. And so as a hitter, you have to be able to look back to your training. Okay, like I've trained hitting this pitch, but now the ball's moving at me. Maybe it's a different speed than I practiced at. Maybe I'm in a different environment. Maybe my eyes have to adjust a little bit more to the back. So there's so many more things that you have to take into consideration whenever you're doing this. And so for me, it's really allowed me to kind of step back and realize each at bat is a new experience, but it's building to that final product. And so for me, the quarantine is kind of like, hey, this gives me an opportunity to work on that progression, and then my final product is going to be the best me you've ever seen. So it's able to kind of just get in that mindset and trust your training and trust what you've been doing throughout the whole time, not only in college, but post-college and really your entire career.
Okay, so one of the things that Charge Up provides is a platform on leadership. And it's explaining to people that leadership is not title, rank, or authority, but it's based off the simplicity of influence, positive influence, making an impact. And influence is simply action and example done in a repetitive way. You don't have to have the light shine on you. You don't have to be the loudest. It's just being, it's having tremendous grit. For each of you, did you find your leadership role easy, or was it something you struggled with? Because there are some elite athletes who really don't want to, I guess, represent that team as a leader because they're so focused, and it's just kind of adding something into the equation. And there are others who welcome it. There are silent leaders and there are vocal leaders. At what point did you realize that, A, you had a leadership role? People were at some point intrigued by your influence and begin to carry on your work ethic. And then how did you accept it and carry it moving forward? And how has it helped you today?
Who wants to go?
I think I'm a very silent leader. I really like having the dialogue when it's necessary. Like, I know that we've all, like for Team Mexico, for example, we've all been playing a very long time, and some of us been playing together. So just having the conversation, I think pre-practice, pre-game, like communication, everything that goes back to you being a great athlete in general. I think that I kind of lead silently in a way that just how I present myself on the mound, and I'm confident in my hitters, my team at the moment. Even if something goes bad, you're not going to really see it on my face because I want to be able to be that strong leader for my team. I'm not a yeller. I think it's just kind of based obviously on everybody's personality, but I do feel like I have an impact on my teammates and myself, and even my coaches, just being able to have that communication and dialogue to make sure that everybody's on the same page and we're all working towards that one same goal. And so I know like Sashel is our team captain for Mexico, and to me, she's like a tremendous leader, and she probably doesn't even know, because like we all are just like, okay, Sashel, what did they say? What do we do next? Or like we put a lot on her, and I think that she handles it very well, off the field and on the field. And I know she's always under stress, and me and her will have talks and be like, okay, what are we going to do this inning? We're going to just listen to us and stay in our rhythm. It's going to be okay. But just making sure, I think that she has support is really big for leaders that have to do more than just kind of be like where I'm like silent and just maybe leading by example. So.
Yeah, I saw that in you. I think you were two different people. You were off the field and on the field.
Yeah.
And like, especially with the Charge, when you were getting the start, you had your preparation, a couple hours before that was the mindset. Mm-hmm. And you just had that incredible focus. And you're right, on the field, you just made it simple and did what you had to do. And that was your leadership role. Has it always been that way growing up? Were you the same way, playing travel ball, high school ball?
Yeah, when I pitch, this is my time, my moment. This is like what I'm here to do. This is my job, and I have to do a good job in order for my team to win. And that's been my mindset my whole life. But when I'm not pitching and I'm like, it's my day off or off day, I'm your biggest cheerleader. I love to have like so much fun in the dugout. We're dancing, having like just creating an energy that is contagious. And that's probably my favorite days, maybe when I don't pitch, because I can be fun and wild. But when it's go time, it's like, don't talk to me, don't mess with me, because it is what it is, and here we go. We're gonna kick some butt. So
That's so true. That's like
Don't
spot on.
call Austin on the mound.
That's like so spot on though. I think that like we all know that she's going to be that person that's going to provide energy, you know? And I think it's even like, even though when you are pitching, you are quiet, we know, you know what I mean? And I think that like they did give me, you know, the title of captain, which is awesome and it's great. But I do think that this team, and I tell a lot of people this team is really special because every single person brings something different to the table. I'm more of the type of like fiery, like energetic, always loud, always cracking jokes, trying to make people like comfortable. But like during the qualifying event, when we were not even done with our, pool, I was thinking about bracket play and what I wanted the game plan to be, Canada and Puerto Rico. And, one of our more shy girls, Anissa, our shortstop, came up to me and was like, hey, listen, enjoy where you're at right now. Enjoy this game that we're going to have tonight. We will handle those next couple games. And, I needed that in that moment. I needed somebody to come up to me and say, hey, listen, enjoy this, because whether we win or we don't, we're here together and we're going to do this together. And I think that something that I've always I take pride in my defense. I know that that's something that I can control 100% of the time. And I really have gained my confidence behind the plate. I know I'm the best, and I know that I bring something special, to this team. And I think that that's where you gain. I want to be that spark plug. And sometimes it's exhausting. Sometimes I'm in my own head about the other side of the game. And I that's something that it's a goal for me, now that we're extending this, is that, this season, I don't want to be down in the dumps about an at-bat anymore, because I have a bigger job on this team, is to be that person behind the play that's going to gather us and is going to bring us together. And I'm honestly honored. It's tough sometimes because I'm a very not anxious person, but I stress about things that I'm passionate about. Because I want them to be perfect and I want them to be great. But I definitely think that's a goal. And that's something that goes back to this time, like writing that stuff down and knowing that it's okay and it's valid. But I think this team does such a wonderful job of all of us doing our job and all of us being that person for that team. And that's what makes us so special. I really do believe in that.
Sashel is definitely the glue of Team Mexico, that's for sure.
Yes.
Goma. That in Spanish, it's goma. If you guys
Goma?
Yeah.
You're La Goma.
La goma.
What a compliment. That's pretty cool, Sash. I mean, you and I met recently.
I'll probably cry because that's like so bad. But.
We met in February, I guess, in Minnesota. And y'all tell me, Tori, Dallas, I mean, she just kind of walks into a room and you're immediately, like, she just brings energy.
Yeah, like,
and
hey.
She's always happy. And she looks at you when you talk, and that's a rare thing. She just is very kind. And I can imagine it's comforting as a pitcher, Dallas, knowing that you have her total attention. Like, she has got your back 100%.
Yeah.
And,
like I have to catch her sometimes because she's going through a mile per minute up here, and I only have 20 seconds to throw the pitch, and I'm just like, call something, please.
She's not even exaggerating. Like, I'll be literally staring at the hitter, like trying to think about tendencies, what she did last time we saw her, what her, all this stuff in the middle of next pitch. We have only 20 seconds, and I'll see Dallas like, the pitch, and sometimes when I don't even, and I think that goes back to like how much confidence we have in each other as battery mates. Mm-hmm. It's like sometimes I'll just tell her, like, I won't give her the sign that she wants, and I'll just say, like, throw it. Sometimes she'll just throw, I don't know where it's going, but I will catch the ball because I'm like, just give it to me. Like, I know what you want. It's really cool. It is really cool to be a part of. Like, but I do think about a lot of in my mind. I'm like, you have to
have 6 seconds. Like, I need to throw something.
Oh my
The
God.
international clock freaked me out when I first started seeing it, because it's not that normal routine of when I'm comfortable or yes, that's what I want. I don't know, I'm going to call it off.
Mhm.
Like, you got to go.
Yeah. Like, usually if I shake off one, then, and I usually don't shake too many, but if I shake one off, then I'll throw my hands up and call time, because that's already probably like 7 seconds until because when she throws me the ball and I catch it, I'm only at like 15 seconds or 14, because the clock, whoever's running those clocks have a little bit of a heavy hand, so it starts pretty quick. Yeah.
My favorite is when you start pitching and you're like, other side, and I'm like,
oh yeah, I'll just yell to her like, if I want the pitch, I just want it a different way. I'll just yell like other side, just because, to make it fast. And I think that kind of throws the hitter off a little bit too. It's like, okay, I'm sitting in here and she just yelled other way. Like,
exactly.
Was she going out? Like,
well, my trip, right?
I about pooped my pants because I was like, oh my God, do I turn? Do I go with it? Like, I was like shaking. I was like, what in the world? What kind of psychopath does that? And then I was like, this works.
Yeah. That's a great mind trip.
Compliment.
It's also when like her ball breaks like, this much. Like, it's just, I think it really is like the confidence in one another. Like, you heard Dallas say when she's in the dugout, when she's pitching, like, she has full confidence in, all of us. Like, when I'm about to pick to first base, I know Tori's going to be there. And like, I think that like, I know that I'm so thankful that Olympics is not canceled and that they're postponing it. But I think that I was in such a clear mental space when all this first started. And I told myself, and I wanted to make sure that it was apparent to the team. Like, I sent a couple messages in GroupMe, but I wanted them to know that, like, regardless if we play or we don't play Olympic Games, I want them to know that what we did in 2019, September of 2019 in Surrey, Canada, was huge, was epic. Like, the way that we won, the way that we came together, and the way that we shocked the world, that's it for me. Like, Olympic Games or no Olympic Games, I'm proud of what we've done and what we've accomplished. And I will tell everybody to their face, and everybody that wants to know or doesn't want to know how special this team is, because it's really cool to be a part of something where you feel empowered and you feel welcomed. And it's really cool. And I hope people are worried about Mexico, because we're awesome.
I think y'all have made that point very clear. I'm going to take a right here and ask you a question, just looking at some of the people who are on the call that I do know. What are your thoughts, and what can you contribute to the high school select player who right now is extremely concerned over recruiting, facing the possibility of either a delayed start to the select season, knowing that they really haven't played ball in 2.5 months, either a delayed start or a cancellation of the summer season? How can you offer some advice to them to understand that control the controllables, but hearing it from you and how you would handle the situation?
I think that my experience as being a college coach, you're always on somebody's radar, whether it's the place that you want to go, whether it's a school you have never heard of in your life, you are on somebody's radar. And your college coaches, your club ball coaches and your high school coaches are on your side, and they're trying to kind of work within the same circumstances as we're in right now. So I think that as a high school athlete, like me channeling myself back, just being able to continue, I don't know what the regulations are right now, but send those emails, send them videos, maybe like do a Zoom or like, hey, this is me and I'm over here swinging the bat with the net, or just find a way to keep that contact and be able to say, hey, like, I'm doing as much as I can in this time. And I know that maybe you can't talk to me right now, or we don't know what the next days bring, but I just want to make sure that you know that I'm still interested or I'm out here. But I would just say, like, be confident and don't stress over what is and what the unknown is, because nobody knows. And so being able to just continue to work hard and believe in yourself. And honestly, the biggest thing is stay up in school, be a student before an athlete. That's the biggest thing. And so I think being able to just continue to have that focus on your studies moving forward, and then showing that, hey, I'm still here and I'm still doing great things in quarantine.
And two, I think off of that first kind of bullet point that you made, Dal, was you're always on somebody's radar. And the cool thing about softball, even though like things aren't going on right now, or maybe if it's not the school that you want, there's always a place for you, whether that's junior college, NAIA, D3, D2, D1, right? There's so many opportunities. And if you've dedicated your life to this, like people are going to take notice and people are going to acknowledge those skills that you have, and there will always be a place for you. And hey, you may not take the journey that you think you were going to take. And it's funny that one of my best friends, Lexi Smith, is on here right now. I'm going to share a little bit of her story, but she was actually supposed to go to University of Houston her senior year. Some stuff in her life happened, and she ended up having to go to Temple Junior College and was an All-American at Temple through a 14-inning perfect game, like so many incredible things in junior college, and that allowed her to get to Texas A&M. And like without that, like we wouldn't know each other. And so it's like so many little things in your life, and like maybe it's not the journey that you want to take to get there, but maybe that's the journey that you may need. And so I'm always thankful for that, because I met one of my best friends, and her journey and her decision to keep playing, even though it was a junior college, she could have easily been like, you know what, I don't want to play anymore. If only a junior college wants me, then I'm just not going to play. You know, she chose to step up in that situation and be a leader for her team. And that opportunity led to more opportunities, and ones that was really her dream. So you never know what's going to happen. And everybody's in the same situation right now. So if the tournaments are canceled, like no one's playing. So whenever you do get a chance to go out there, play your heart out, give it 100%. Like you never know who's watching and what opportunities could unfold by those people and the connections they have.
I never knew that story about Lexi. I never knew. And I mean, such a fierce competitor, not fun to hit off of her at all. And so I think that is like so humbling to know about her, that, you know, she did that and she got to her goal. And all of us have different ways of getting there. I think that if something is meant to happen, it's going to happen regardless of the situation. And so that's really cool. I did not know. And she has some lungs on her. That girl can sing.
Can she? Let me tell you.
Well, you know, it's funny. Dal, do you remember when she sang, and Lexi, like you're talking about you behind your back, but I was blown away because Ashley Walters was like, hey, you know what? Are we doing national anthems at games? I was like, absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
I want Lexi Smith to do it. And I was like, Lexi sings? And like she got up there and just rocked it.
Oh, I know.
And it was like, this is absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
So virtual high five, Lexi.
She sang the national anthem on senior day and then went out and like threw a win for us. Like it was just shutout maybe, but it was awesome.
Well, the cool thing for her is I've been lucky enough to watch, but you know, her first season at Jordanton and unfortunately cut short, but my God, the enthusiasm that she has brought to that team is unreal. She is so happy. The team has found joy, and like it was shared. And those are the teams you're like, watch out. Like they're all on the same page, and there is a love for the game.
Oh, 100%.
Lexi, I should have just included you on this.
Yeah, you should be a panelist.
Oh, no. I don't want to jump in.
Look at that. There we go. There's the smile.
Oh, y'all can see me?
Yeah.
There she is, Lexi. See, we're talking about you over here.
Honorary Latina.
I know. What?
Honorary Latina.
Yes, I am.
She probably knows more Selena songs than I do.
I love my Selena, okay?
Or that's not acceptable.
Hey, she takes trips to the valley and she'll be sending me like all these like homemade authentic Mexican dishes, and I'm like, where's my invite? Like
Rhonda,
what those quarantine valley.
So Lexi, it's perfect to have you jump on here. That's a great example. Give some people some perspective on that. you had a choice to make. And part of it was you had to face humility and vulnerability in a matter of a couple of days probably, and say, this is the decision I have to make. It's not going to stop me from achieving my goals. Let's go.
So it's actually funny. I committed to Houston as a sophomore in college, and like a dummy, I followed a boy. And I'll tell people this because I think it will help in perspective and what girls go through. And I was one of those. And so I decommitted from Houston. I went and asked Coach C if I could play for her. She didn't recruit me, but he started no one in the area to recruit me because they thought I was going to go big. I was like, what the heck? Like, I want a chance, like I never was perceived as like big headed or like, oh, I'm too good for a Division III, or I'm too good for an NAI or anything like that. Like I was thankful that like for the opportunities that I got. And so when I went up and asked her, she was like, yeah, come on. And, like, obviously my parents and stuff, they were like, what the heck is going on? I was like, this is my decision. I want to stay close to home. Whatever happens, happens. Like, even if I didn't end up at A&M and I ended up somewhere else, like, I would have still been happy because I'm playing the sport that I love. And I actually fell back in love with softball being at the JUCO because I almost quit. Like, I almost quit my junior year of high school, but I didn't.
I mean, it really took you back to, I guess, realize why you did this.
Yeah.
Realize what the fight was. And if you were going to be perseverant in your approach, this was part of the process.
Yeah. And I think, honestly, going to a JUCO first was, like, JUCO's a grind. Like, there's no rules for hours. There's none of that. Like, I'm talking, like, we would have 5:30 a.m. workouts, and then our classes had to be from, like, 8 to 1. And then we practiced for like 3.5 hours, and then we did conditioning after that. And like, there's no, like, I mean, you have to get study hall in. That's another 4 hours a week. And you're like, not to mention all the long bus rides that are like 6.5 hours. And like, so we played at Vernon, and Vernon's like 6.5 hours away. So we would drive the morning, play a doubleheader, and drive back in the same day. And so it was like, it was crazy, but it was a grind. And I think, honestly, that's what really got me mentally prepared for the big jump from junior college to SEC was like, I was like, well, I did this. I died, like, blood, sweat, tears at JUCO. Like, I'm ready for this challenge. I'm mentally ready. I'm mentally prepared to go and face this better competition because I always like the challenge anyways. So
he was looking at that charter flight, huh?
Oh, yeah. People will tell me all the time, you're so lucky. You're so lucky. I was like, don't come at me like that. Okay. I've been through it. I have been through it.
Well, here you go, Lexi.
About JUCO workouts. I'm like, girl, I would have this back.
Lexi Smith. Okay, good. I had to make sure we got that in.
No, but I coach I coach a select ball team, and like all of them are on this Zoom right now because I made them because I knew it was going to be a good opportunity. But I tell my kids, like, I try to push my kids to JUCO because I think it's a good opportunity. I mean, obviously you do your research and you go, like, you want to go to a good JUCO. I tell them, ask the questions, ask what their workouts are like, ask them like their transfer rate. I'm like, ask them these questions so like if you do end up going to a JUCO that you're going to be able to transfer out, and so like I'm all for, like, kids tell me, I had a kid actually, she was like, well, I don't know if I want to go JUCO. I don't know if it's for me. I was like, go, like, try it out, and now she's committed to a junior college and a good one. She's committed to Weatherford. So, I mean, I don't push JUCO on my kids, but I'm like, it's a good route.
Absolutely.
It's a good route.
Absolutely.
And I told people, like, Division I, Division II, Division III, NAI, JUCO, it doesn't matter. You're playing the game. Mm-hmm. And there's a small percentage of people that get to play after high school. So I count it as don't think that you're any less because you're not at a Power 5 school.
Right.
I think every time that you step on the field after high school is amazing, and no one should make you feel less because you're not at a Power 5 school or whatever.
Dang, these people are so lucky to have you. Wow.
You got a high school team as well playing for. So, and that's good. That's great influence because I think so many people are just like, I want to play softball, and then they'll tell you their D1 choices.
Yeah.
Like, you're contradicting yourself. Do you want to play softball, or do you only want to play D1 softball?
and I think that JUCO tests that a little bit, like how much you love the game, because I went to Temple College, and our coach is now coaching at A&M Corpus, and so, but she killed us. Like, we went through, like, our conditioning test was like, we had a throwing test we had to pass before we could throw in a game. We had a bunting test we had to pass before we could bunt in a game. We had a hitting test that we had to pass before we hit in a game. A conditioning test that we had to earn, like we had to earn our jersey doing the conditioning test, and we got 4 tries before our first conference game or our first like game. And if you didn't pass, you're not traveling. You're not playing. You're not traveling until you pass. If you didn't pass your hitting test before the first game, you're not hitting in a game. You're not throwing in a game. And I had a pitching test that we had to do, and all these little tests. And it wasn't for, like, obviously we can throw, we can hit, we can do all that, but it was this. Mm-hmm. Like, how many times are you going to fail? Like, if I fail 8 times, am I going to give up? No, I'm going to keep going. You know, like, it was testing this and making this stronger. And, like, I tell people all the time, like, I'm thankful for the opportunity that I went JUCO. Like, I'm not mad. I'm not upset about it. Like, I honestly loved it. And that was my journey, and it was great. And I would do it over again. If you asked me if I would do it again, I would definitely go.
Well, let's do this. Let's open it up for some questions. If you all want to send in, heck, we've got Lexi now. So her players are here. Tell them to ask questions, Lexi.
I already did. All right.
There you go.
There's some of them that weren't on here. I was like, I know I have more than 10 players on my team, and I only see 10 players. And so they're like, I'm in. I was like, yeah, you better be in.
Lexi's been loyal. She's helped me on a couple of calls. I can see her players start popping up, and I see her. It's like, Lexi don't play around. This is the season.
They know. They know, too.
Her punishment from is junior college right there.
Here, I have a question for you, Dallas. We'll get things started. I noticed today you really put a tremendous amount of time and effort into the do-it-yourself gel nail. How did that work out for you?
Oh my God. Okay, here is my nail.
Bomb.
Ooh,
and
very winkle.
It was yesterday, and I threw a bullpen, and all good. So I did put the disclaimer in. I know everybody's nails are different, so if it does chip, like, don't come being mad at me. Like, get your nails right by yourself. So, but no, it was great. And I did my right hand, which is pretty impossible for me, but I'm two days in. So I'll keep it a week record.
So let's see. Here's a good question. How did you deal with the feeling of knowing the last game you played could have been the last for a while?
It takes me back to regionals. Game 3, 2018, last game of my career with A&M. I think a lot of people never expected the COVID-19 to kind of just wipe their season completely. And in retrospect, that's kind of how it was for us. Like, we thought we were winning that game, like, all the way, 100%, well, after the home run. So we thought we were winning, right? We have this incredible just, like, moment where we're going to win. We were 1 strike away from winning this game and going to the World Series. And it was a long at bat by a freshman from Florida, and she just rips one left center over the fence, and my career's done. Over. Like, I just remember dropping down to my knees and, like, there's nothing you can do about it. No matter how hurt, sad, disappointed, no matter what feeling you have, like, there's nothing that you can feel to bring it back. So I think the biggest thing is just to embrace it. For me, I didn't change out of my uniform for a really long time till, like, after the plane ride, which is kind of gross, but I didn't want to take it off. That was going to be the last time I could take it off. And then whenever we got back to College Station, I went and sat in center field for a good 2 hours and just cried and just remembered all the memories and all the practices and all the cool games we had and my friendships. And there's so much that happened. So for me, it was just going and reflecting and letting everything out. And it still sucks to this day. I'm like, we were 1 strike away, but life goes on. I mean, life continues. We don't just stop here just because softball is over for this season, right? There's always going to be more opportunities for you to play, especially if you're still in high school, man. There's so many opportunities as a high school player to continue playing, even though the season ended. There's more left in the tank for you, and there's more on the cards. So just looking forward to the next one and not dwelling on the past one.
Gosh, I feel like I've gone through it twice with you, Sashel, and me, because my senior year, I watched a girl rob Amber Freeman's home run that would have sent us to supers, and it's heartbreaking. And so it was just like the same, it's like, I remember my initial thought was like, I don't want to be done. Like, I'm not like, no, I don't want to be done. It just was like such a heart, like you knew you had the team. We felt that we were not done. We should have been going so much further, but at that time it wasn't in our cards and it wasn't in our hand. And I think that like now progressing to the professional level and appreciating like so much more like that has come from that is unbelievable. But for the girls that even after coaching at Cal State Fullerton, I know some girls are not going to be able to come back and play there for their senior year. And it's like, they have that feeling, and it's like, they are done, and it's kind of heartbreaking. And I've talked to a couple, and it's still fresh right now, but like they're positive about it and just want to be able to say like, I loved it. I loved every moment on the field. And so I think that as high school players or college athletes right now, like completely don't take anything for granted, because like this situation opens everybody's eyes to something so much more. And I don't know, it's just like after knowing how I felt, but also knowing that I can still continue to play is something. But I don't know, I feel like I can't imagine like really not knowing when my last game is, and it's just sad. So
I also think that like I catch, and that's a really strenuous position. I mean, people think we're sitting. We're not sitting. We're holding a squat all game. And so it's really tough on the body. And I think that that's something that kind of pulls me back to. It's like I complain a lot that my body hurts and that I'm feeling these aches and pains, or I have, all this stuff. My knees are killing me all the time. But I think that like I don't even know what I'd do if I, went through an injury where I was done playing forever. And so I think that kind of brings me back to like, I'm sore from working out and then I have to go hit. Well, you have to learn how to hit with those injuries or hit with those like aches and pains, because you don't really know when the last time, when you're going to be able to play again. I mean, my little sister started her freshman year this year, and she battled a couple injuries, one being pretty major, and she got a concussion, a collision at the play. And so kind of like those puts that, situation puts things into perspective. Like, thank God it was what it was, and she's healed and she's perfect now. But like in the situation, like you never know. And so I think that it goes with this situation that we're currently in, but also just knowing that like injury also is a big thing that comes our.
And I'm going to contribute. I think there's a couple things. One, and I preach this every time I talk with athletes, and that is be in the moment. Like, be where your feet are, because the most important time is now. And you can say that at any point during the day, the most important time is now. And one thing that is going to be special about the class of 2020, they may not realize it, but they're going to be the poster child for recognizing the things that we took for granted. They're going to be the ones who sacrificed the joy and the triumph and the celebration and the heartache, but just playing the game. And I think it's going to be something that people refer to as, this class of 2020 didn't get their season. It's going to be your job to carry that legacy. It's going to be your job to carry the culture. And I've seen so many posts from seniors and their coaches, and I feel for every single post I read, because it shows me the passion that's in the game, which is tremendous. It shows me how much coaches love their players, which is so important and needs to be shown. But it also shows me that the strength of the sport is stronger than it's ever been, because there's just a bond, and it makes complete sense to me. But a picture that I still have in my head, and I think it was March 12th when the SEC found out what was going on. And on the 13th, Sarah Cornell from Alabama posted this picture of her sitting on the rubber and just looking at the stands and saying, just sitting here crying, knowing I may never have this view again. And it was like I printed it because it was like that picture. That is how everybody has to look. Dallas, when you go out there saying, I don't want this to be my last time, but I'm going to play like it is. I'm going to play like it is my last time to ever go. And if everybody has that approach, you don't take it for granted. You give 100%. You live in the moment. So, Lexi, Jalen wants you to know, she asked this question. How do you balance the days when you want to go out and grind with the days you just want to lay in bed?
That's a good one. I still struggle with that, honestly. Everybody has those days. So for me, it's just finding some way to get better, right? So doesn't always mean I'm going to go hit, but maybe it's taking mental reps in my head. Maybe it's before I go to sleep. Sometimes I like to close my eyes, especially if it's like before a game. I'll close my eyes and I'll try to think about all the really good hits that I've had, right? How did it feel? How did my teammates react? How did it feel like them, I guess, reacting to me? Like all these feelings that you feel at the plate. Like, was I anxious? Was I ready? Was I confident? How did I feel? And then I try to recreate it in a new situation. Like I'll say like, Danielle Laurie's pitching. All right. She's going to throw me change up, rise ball. She's going to bust me in and then go back out, right? So I try to like create these like fake scenarios in my head and see myself succeeding. So that way, whenever I do get to that point in time where I know Danielle Laurie is going to be throwing to me, I've already been there in my head. So it allows me to be a little bit more calm, a little bit more comfortable in the situation that I'm going to be in. And just another thing that I learned within the past year from one of my friends who is actually a gymnast, she was telling me like, when you learn a new skill, there's like two different ways to perceive yourself doing it. It's either you looking at yourself, so like I see myself doing something and like hitting a home run, or I can put myself in the position being here hitting a home run.
Yep.
So it's like two different ways to look at it. And when you're seeing it through your own perspective, like you're not looking at yourself, you are yourself in the experience. For me, I felt it to be more efficient in me getting things done and feeling how it felt instead of just watching it and be like, oh, hey, that's cool. Yeah. So just two different ways to look at it. And that was something cool that I've learned in the past that has helped a ton with mental reps.
And Dallas, when I see this question about how do you balance the days when you want to grind versus lay in bed, I would recommend send Chris to her house.
I know. I knew you were going to say something. I was going to be like, well, marry the craziest guy that you can that is obsessed with working out, and then you're good. Like you'll never have any of those days because it's like impossible. But no, I was going to say, like going off of kind of Tori, I think visualization is a really big part of my game personally, and like that. Even if like I don't want to have days, I like to take my time and visualize. And even if I am on the mound or even when I'm throwing into a net by myself, I'll do my routine of how I am on the mound and visualize like my perfect pitch or hitting that spot and then moving forward and doing it and just creating those kind of mind reps and being able to know that like, okay, I'm training my brain to see and basically do what I want to then perform as it. So my dad always talks about visualization, and he's on here now.
Oh, he is?
Yeah, he logged in.
Oh, I see his name.
Yeah.
Here, I'm going to give you this one, Sash. How does being an athlete make you a better person? I love that question.
Ooh. It shows you discipline. It brings confidence. I've never thought that I'd have this much confidence, but I've really gained that through playing. I've gained that just knowing that all that hard work and all that preparation, I was ready for that moment. It brings you a lot of awesome people that you'd never meet if it wasn't for sport. And so that creates relationships with people that will go, like, it will last a lifetime. This softball and this sport is just now, but forever you're going to have these people in your corner. It shows you like, it really shows you what you're all about, like the insides. If you're willing to grind and do what you're supposed to do for your teammates, or you're choosing to slack off and just kind of take the back burner, or doing those 100 reps even though your legs are sore, or taking the day off. Like, it really, like, it's yes or no. And I think that balance is really important. But when you get to a point like where we're at, where it's a job, like, you have to make those decisions every single day. And so it just has shown me a lot of myself and how I work and how I grind. Also, it just gives us a way to glorify. I've been really into my faith lately, and just how awesome that is. And I just think it's a way to glorify him. And I think it's really cool that we're able to get these opportunities so late into our careers. Like, I think that, I thought it was just college, and then from college I was going to become a teacher. Like, that is not what I'm doing now. And I'm so happy that that's not the path that it is now. I get to continue to play, continue to compete, continue to grow in my, confidence, my relationships. So I don't know if I answered your question, but that felt really good in my heart.
But you are a teacher. Think about it. You are a teacher. You are using that teaching mechanism, and it's through your influence.
I guess so.
I think you'd be a good teacher, so.
Miss Palacios.
Yeah, I don't know if I'd want to be in your class. You'd have that ruler slapping hands.
The chancla.
You can throw it. Here, I'll throw this one at you. Tori, what factors do you feel have influenced you the most to become the player you are today?
Ooh, these are good questions.
Aren't they?
I definitely
job,
think
Reagan.
my family, mostly my brother. So my whole family, they're all athletes. My brother played at U of H, played baseball at U of H. My dad played baseball at Texas Tech. My mom played pretty much everything under the sun. But she went to school in Belen, which is a junior college, close to College Station, and played basketball. So I think it's always been ingrained in us from a young age, not necessarily to play sport, but what it takes to play sport. They really let us try everything growing up. I did every sport you could probably imagine. I did basketball, tennis, volleyball. I was on the dive team in high school.
Ayo.
So that was kind of just an avenue to find what sparked joy inside of me. I feel like Marie Kondo. Does it spark joy? But what sparked joy in me, seriously, because I got to choose whatever I wanted. I did drill team. I did cheer. Like, I did everything you could think of. And
Kelly.
I know, right? They gave me free range to pick whatever I wanted, even though my dad, of course, would want me to play softball. But my brother was a huge part in that because he played baseball, and I would watch him. And it's so funny because we're so opposite, right? My brother, guys are supposed to be like really big and strong, right? He was small and fast as all get out. He could bunt and be at second base before he even pick up the ball, right? Me, on the other hand, you're not going to see that from me, but I have more of the power aspect. So it's kind of like roles reversed of what they are technically, the stereotypical male, female roles, right? And so I remember watching him play and just thinking, wow, like, he is just so passionate about this sport. And then I would come home and I would hear him talk about the game with my dad. I would see him always want to go out to the cage and hit some balls after school, because we used to have a cage in the backyard as well. So I just kind of followed his lead, and I would want to do everything he would do. And then when I got to a certain age, I'd want to try to beat him. So it was like a competition within us, but we were really just making each other better, because we obviously love each other and want the best for each other. And we want to be the best athletes we can be, but if you're going to challenge me, I'm going to win. So it was like one of those things where anything he did, I wanted to do it just to see if I could beat him, but then it ended up making me a better athlete. Mm-hmm. And so even when I was younger, like, I didn't even know what it was. He would walk, I would want to try to walk. My dad tells me this story, my mom and my dad, of the kids all in our cul-de-sac. We had like 30 kids, and I was the youngest one. They'd like ride bikes all down and none of them had training wheels, and I had training wheels. And so I was so stubborn. I know it shocks you guys, but I was so stubborn. And I was like, take my training wheels off. Like, I don't need them. And my dad was like, no, babe, I think you need to leave them on. I was like, no, take them off. I want to be a big girl. So he took them off, and I ate it. And I think it's so funny because I wanted to try, even though I knew I was probably going to fail. Well, at that point, I didn't know I was going to fail. They knew I was going to fail, but they let me try to kind of let me go and just realize like I have to discover this on my own. And so I think my family is a huge, huge role in why I am the way I am and just my whole journey, because they've done everything under the sun to give me everything I could possibly imagine or ever need to get to where I am, whether it's their time, their money, their sacrifice, just to help me get better. So many things, and I feel like I owe a lot to them. I'm gonna buy them a house one day. They probably heard me say that. So
Dallas and Sasha, now you know if Tori seems like she's struggling, just yell training wheels.
yeah.
Training wheels.
Training
That's
wheels.
it. It'll
Our
take care of everything.
huddle, training wheels on 3.
That I'm never at. It's fine.
The kids in my cul-de-sac, they torture
Okay, so
me.
this one's going to be for you, Dal Pal.
Okay.
What qualities make a good teammate?
I think, honestly, for me, being positive is key and optimistic. Don't shut your mind off to anybody. Be open. I mean, you never know what somebody's going through until you walk in their shoes. And I think that if you can be a good teammate, it doesn't matter if you're the greatest player or the worst player on the team. Like, people are going to come to you because you embrace the struggle. Maybe you embrace like, hey, I'm going to be your accountability partner. I'm going to do whatever I can for you. If my role is a pinch runner, I'm the pinch runner, and then I'm going to come back in here and cheer for my team. But being able to just constantly support, I think that's huge, and it makes or breaks a team, and everybody could know that. I mean, you can have that one person on your team that's kind of bringing people down, and then as soon as something happens where, say, even if they're like sick for a week and you have your whole team and it's like, wow, it's been kind of nice lately, like you know that somebody, it can be one person that it takes to bring a team down. But if there's more good teammates than that, I think that that's huge. And I think I take pride on that too. I want to be the best teammate that I can be, because it shows a tremendous difference on the field, even though you're just trying to hang out and get to know your teammates. Like, on the field, you can tell when teams are maybe clashing a little bit compared to teams that really enjoy each other.
So I want to close it in a very simplistic fashion. I'm all about gratitude. And gratitude provides you perspective, and it also reinforces the habit of now is the most important moment. Sasha, I'll put you on the, what do you call it, burner. Tell me something right now you have gratitude for. What are you grateful for right now?
Obviously this call, I think this has been great. It hasn't even like it's been however long it's been. Like, I think that sharing our stories, it's really awesome. And I'm really grateful for my teammates. I know how wonderful they are, but just seeing and being with them for this past however long, like, reiterates how amazing of people, like the amazing people that I have in my corner. And I'm really grateful for them. I'm really grateful that I met you, Victor. So those are my answers, my teammates and you.
Thank you. Tori, you want to take it?
Oh yeah, I second that. I think it's awesome, and it's funny because we'll have a FaceTime just randomly. We're like, "Hey guys, I missed you," and like we talked like 2 days ago, so it's funny. But really, in this time, just my health and just the body that I was given, and knowing that I'm able to move and still have so much progress to make in just life, like whether it be athletic or not, right? Just being appreciative of what I was given and using that to the best of my ability.
I like that.
Dal Pal?
I'm just grateful for this time right now, time being home, time being with my family, my husband, my new dog, that's putting me through just different exciting adventures each day. And I'm just grateful, like they said, like just being able to connect, even though we're a distance right now. And I think it's really fun for people that are able to watch and just sit in and listen. It's a cool thing in a hard time. So I'm taking the positive route, and I'm just thankful for what we're going through right now.
I appreciate that.
And FaceTime.
And absolutely, and I'm grateful just for the fact that so many people joined us today, because my goal is always, if I can touch one person, if one person gains something, then I've achieved everything I want. It doesn't matter if there's 3 people or 3,000. If one person can walk away, and it really makes me happy when I see people like Lexi make this something that's important and is using this time. And Lexi, I thank you for bringing your team on and doing that, because it means a lot to me. And it also shows the commitment that your players have to you. So I'm grateful for you. You came out of this call. It's so funny how this all worked out.
I know. I didn't mean to hijack it.
It worked out perfect. It worked out
I was
absolutely
getting on here to support y'all and my bestie, so
Support.
So I want to thank everybody for joining. If you have any questions for any of them, as always, you can just send them to me through Charge Up, and I'll make sure that they get them. But thanks, everybody, and thank you, Sash. Thank you, Tori. Thank you, Dallas. Thank you, Lexi. I appreciate everybody, your time, and what you've contributed. Have a great night. Don't forget, friends, Charge Up.
Charge up.
Yeah.
Woo! Gig up.
Thank you.